If you clicked on today's video, you obviously saw the title and know what this video is going to be about. I am very fresh out of this whole situation. It's been just over 2 weeks since it all happened, and I'm going to try to get through it as well as I can without, breaking down. But I do apologize in advance if it gets a little emotional, or a lot emotional. I don't know. I don't really even know how to start this. So I was pregnant, and now I'm not. Sorry to God. I wanted to share my experience with all of this in the hopes that it'll help me heal, in the hopes that maybe one of you watching is going through the same thing and can find some comfort in it and knowing that you're not alone. Maybe the information that I have to provide can be helpful for you during this time. I have been finding quite a lot of comfort in watching other YouTube women that have gone through miscarriages and the information they have provided, the symptoms that they had through this whole thing, and it helps me feel less alone, and it helps me feel understood in what's going on. So I don't know, I'm hoping that maybe this can be that for somebody too, and talking about it can hopefully help me feel better in some way. I know that this is something that it's never going to go away, because obviously I lost my baby. But I think talking about it does help, honor my baby in some way. I feel like my baby was only here for 10 weeks, but their life mattered, and their life had a purpose. When we grieve the loss of somebody else that we lost in our life, a parent, a friend, grandparents, other people that we lose in our life, it's common practice, and it's part of our healing and part of our grief to talk about those people and to get together and have a celebration of life and talk to other people about how we're feeling, and that's how we're able to heal from those process, or from that process. But when we lose a baby, especially if we haven't really told everyone, then it's more common for women to grieve and suffer in silence. And that sucks. I mean, it might be what some women need. We all grieve differently. I've gone through probably every thought in the last couple of weeks. When I first lost my baby, I believe it was either that same day or the next day that I told everybody that I had miscarried. Or not everybody, my friends and family who knew that I was pregnant. I just wanted to rip the Band-Aid and just tell everybody, and I didn't want to, a week or two later or even farther than that, have to hear somebody asking me how my baby was or how my pregnancy was going. So I just wanted to say it right away. And then right away I started getting a lot of messages, everybody wanting to help in their own way. And immediately I regretted telling anyone that I was pregnant. I didn't want to hear anything about it. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to get any more messages. And I thought, I shouldn't have told anybody that I was pregnant. I don't want to talk about this at all, and I shouldn't have told anybody. And then as the weeks have progressed, I now find the need to talk about it. And I think that having that support has been helpful as I've been able to accept it, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. And now I do find a lot of comfort in having support and having advice. And ever since I have decided to talk about it, I made a post on my Instagram, and I have gotten countless of messages from other women, friends of mine that I had no idea had miscarriages. And, you know, as sad as that sounds, it helps to know that you're not alone. So anyways, all of that to just say that that's why I'm talking about it today. So I found out I was pregnant on August 24th. My husband and I were really excited. We decided to find out together. Okay, pull that stick out.
Don't shake it around.
I'm nervous. I can't stop shaking.
Wait, what? I don't know. What
2 lines is pregnant.
2 lines is pregnant.
Even if the other line is really light.
Do you want me to look at it, or do you want me to show it to you? Do you want me to look at it
Okay, you
first?
should look at it.
I need you to look at it. I can't remember what you just said.
2 lines is pregnant.
There's a really faint second line on there.
I'm pregnant. That's the second line.
Really?
Yep.
I knew it. I knew it. Really?
See, this is why I needed to save the P. Now we gotta take another one. But yeah, that's a faint line.
That's a line on there. I mean, I see it.
No,
I mean,
it's a
I'm
line.
not even surprised.
I'm pregnant.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I'm so happy.
But yeah, that's a line. Holy shit, I'm pregnant. We had been trying. We decided to try for our 3rd baby and actually got pregnant on our 1st month trying. So we were really excited about that. We started telling our friends and family. We didn't make a social media announcement, mostly because I wanted to wait until my 10-week ultrasound to have ultrasound pictures to share. And say, we're having another baby. Another people?
Yeah.
We're gonna have another people. On October 2nd, which was a Friday, I went to the bathroom and I wiped and I saw the slightest bit of pink on the toilet paper. And I had something similar to that with my first pregnancy, where I wiped maybe like 2 or 3 times and it was slightly pink and then it went away. My first thought was that it was something like that, so I wasn't too freaked out at first. But then it kept happening every time I went to the bathroom that whole afternoon. The next day, on Saturday, it changed colors and it was more like light brown, and then there was a couple of just like stringy, mucusy things that were coming out as well. But it was all like light brown. So still I wasn't like horribly concerned, but I was concerned enough that I decided to call my doctor's office. And the doctor on call said that, of course, if I felt like I needed to or wanted to, I could always go to the ER because the office was closed for the weekend. But since it was still so light and I wasn't experiencing any cramping or anything like that, that I could also just wait until Monday morning and call and get my ultrasound scheduled for Monday so they could see me sooner. I already had my ultrasound scheduled for that Thursday. That was going to be my 10-week ultrasound. But he said that I could call and get it switched to Monday since I was spotting, and that way I could get reassurance then. So I decided to do that. I decided that I didn't really need to go to the ER. It was still just really light spotting, and that's still common and normal in the first trimester of pregnancy, so I decided to just wait. On Sunday, the next day, early in the afternoon, I went to the bathroom and I wiped, and of course I was checking every time because every time I was still having spotting, so I checked the toilet paper and it was blood. It wasn't light pink or light brown spotting. It was blood. It was red. It was like a period. So of course right away I called my husband in the bathroom, and right away I started crying and I said, "Oh my God, it's blood. Oh my God, it's blood. This is not normal." we decided that the best thing for me to do was to go to the ER, and that was an excruciatingly long wait. I think I waited maybe like 2 or 3 hours before they actually got me into a room. Once they got me back in a room, of course, it was another super long wait before they actually did an ultrasound and the testing. I got my HCG levels checked, so I got my blood drawn. They did some other testing too, so I had to leave a urine sample, and then they did an ultrasound. When the ultrasound technician came in and started the ultrasound, like right away, I saw a heartbeat. And I was so relieved, and I cried, and there was like a huge weight off my shoulders because there was a heartbeat. And I had been reading the last couple of days that if you see a heartbeat on an ultrasound, then your chances of miscarrying go down way, way low. And so I felt so good that there was a heartbeat. And my own heart started beating again. It felt like I had been holding my breath, and I finally could breathe again. And then she asked me if it was possible that my dates were wrong. And right away I was like, I don't think so. But then the more I thought about it, we had been actively trying. I know exactly when I ovulated. I know exactly when we had sex. My dates were not wrong. It was not possible that my dates were wrong. And I started to worry again. The ER doctor told me that my HCG levels came back at like right around a normal number for the gestational that I was, or gestational age that my baby was. And seeing a heartbeat, of course, was super reassuring. And my discharge papers just said that everything that they tested came back good, and that it was all very reassuring, but I was still at risk for miscarriage, and that I needed to follow up with my OB in 2 days, so on Tuesday. And then I went home, and part of me felt so good that I had seen that heartbeat, and then part of me was so worried that I was measuring almost 2 weeks behind, and that just didn't sit right. I knew that my dates were exactly right, and measuring almost 2 weeks behind at that stage in pregnancy it's a huge difference in size. So I went to sleep that night feeling better, I guess. And then the next day I continued to bleed all day Monday, and it got progressively worse. By the end of the night I was passing clots. They looked like they were small, but they were really, really dark red, almost black clots that looked like pieces of liver. And I knew then that there was something really wrong. But of course I was still holding out hope. And I had just seen that heartbeat, so I was holding on to that hope that little heartbeat was still there. I went to bed that night, and after seeing those clots, I knew that it wasn't right. And I don't know if this is a symptom of the miscarriage or not, but I was shaking, uncontrollably shaking, and my body temperature was completely out of whack. I was so cold, my limbs were so cold, and my whole body was just shaking. My jaw was jittering, and I wasn't able to get any sleep. Maybe I slept 1 or 2 hours. And then when I woke up the next day, they had scheduled me for 2 appointments, one in the morning to get my blood drawn, and one at noon to come back for my ultrasound. And then that way they would have my HCG levels back. By the time that I had my ultrasound, they would be able to give me results. So I woke up hopeful. I wasn't bleeding as much, so I thought that was a good sign. And even though I had passed clots and I had already had a bad feeling, I was still thinking, I saw that heartbeat. I just saw that heartbeat. So there's hope that everything is still okay. And then I went in to get my blood drawn, and then I went back in for my ultrasound. My midwife was there, and she came into the ultrasound room with me. And like right away when the ultrasound started, I saw, before she even said anything, I saw that there was no heartbeat. I could see that my baby was in there. And she looked, she moved the wand around and looked for maybe like a minute or so, maybe longer, I don't know. And then she said it. She said, "I'm sorry, but there is no heartbeat." And I just laid there and I cried. I don't even know how long I sat there and cried. And my midwife was there. My midwife was there. And she was holding my hand. She just kept saying, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry you have to go through this." And then I asked her, like, obviously my HCG levels were bad. And she said, yeah, they went down. But sometimes there can be a mistake. So I was just hoping that it was a mistake. So after I laid there crying for a while, I asked her what my options would be, or like what the next step was. I've never gone through this before, so I didn't know what was supposed to happen next. So she told me that I could wait and see if my body got rid of all the tissue on its own. She said that could take a couple of days, up to a few weeks, maybe even longer, and that it could be really painful. And there's also a possibility that not all of the tissue would come out, and so that I would then have to go into surgery to remove the rest of the tissue. They could also give me medication to speed up that process. That would almost guarantee that it would happen within the next couple of days. She said that usually when they prescribe that, then they also prescribe pain medication and nausea medication, because it can get really intense, really painful, and it could make you really nauseous. So, and then the third option would be to just have a D&C. Apparently there's different types of D&Cs. There's one where they actually go in and scrape. The one that was offered to me, or they do at the hospital here, is a suction D&C, where they basically just suck everything out with like a little vacuum. And right away when she gave me that option, I told her that's what I wanted, because I couldn't, there's no way that I could carry like my dead baby days or weeks, or who knows how long it would take, or prolong that process even longer than it needed to. Like, it had already been like 4 days of like some bleeding, and there's no way that I could emotionally just do that for who knows how much longer, you know? I just wanted it to be over. So eventually I got up and I got dressed, and I went into the other room to talk to the OB and surgeon that would be doing my surgery, and they got my surgery scheduled for that same afternoon. And I just cried that whole time too. How could I be having that conversation? I was no longer referring to my baby as my baby. We were just talking about my baby as the tissue that just needed to be removed from my body. So I came home and I just hugged my husband, and I collapsed on the floor. And I hugged my babies. And then they gave me a ride back to the hospital. I had the surgery, And I didn't think at the time, and I don't know how I even feel about it now, but of like asking for the remains and like what would I even do with that. I don't know that I would have wanted to see it. And that was actually another reason that I chose surgery over just waiting. I said I don't know that I would have wanted to see what was coming out. I don't know if the clots that I saw the night before were a part of it. And that was already hard enough to see. Like, I didn't need to see anymore. And I just felt so empty. Like, how is it that how is it that 2 days ago I saw a heartbeat and then now I'm not even pregnant? It's been about 2.5 weeks since then, and I was told after surgery to expect about 3 or 4 days of heavy bleeding. That was not the case for me. I bled for 12 days after surgery. After like 2 days, I didn't need to take my pain medication anymore. I did still use a heating pad probably for the first 2 full weeks because I did have some cramping, but just light period cramping basically. The first couple of days it was really sore. It was like strong menstrual cramps plus an ab workout. We are here 2.5 weeks later, still somehow trying to make sense of what happened, trying to figure out how to deal with it. Now I have moments in which I can distract myself enough not to think about it, and it's hard because I have physical symptoms of what happened. I have had the last couple of weeks still pregnancy symptoms since my HCG levels. It wasn't until yesterday, I believe, that I finally tested negative for a pregnancy test. So it's taken a while for that to go away. So in a way, my body was still thinking in some ways that I was pregnant. So I still had some nausea. My sense of smell even still now is pretty strong. And then of course, like symptoms of the loss, the bleeding, the cramping, my hormonal changes, have changed my skin too. And then after the loss, I've had like postpartum symptoms. I can feel my intestines moving as my uterus is shrinking. I can feel, obviously, myself shrinking, my belly getting smaller. My milk came in stronger again, as if I had just had a baby. And all of those things are just like physical reminders of all of this. And even in moments when I distract myself and, just can get myself slightly out of a funk, then I feel a cramp. Or I get a glance in the mirror and I see a new zit. Or I breastfeed my baby and I can like feel the letdown. That's been tough. That even when I do get somewhat distracted, I'm reminded by my own body of what's happened. I am so thankful for my husband, who has been such an amazing support, and my babies, because honestly, like if I didn't have my babies to force me to get up every day, force me to eat, force me to smile, I think this would be a lot harder. But I have them, and they have sensed my sadness, and they've been so Before I go, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has reached out and has sent me kind words and messages and thoughts and prayers, and everyone that has been there for me. Thank you for your support. I'm sorry if it takes me a little bit to get back to normal. If you are going through a miscarriage as well and you need support or someone to talk to, do not hesitate to contact me. You can email me. My email is just AnaLampWoman@gmail.com. Feel free to email me anytime. You can also private message me on Instagram. I would be more than happy to talk to you. If you need someone to talk to, you don't have to feel alone. I have found a lot of comfort in hearing other people's stories and having support from other women that have gone through this as well or are going through it now. I would love to be able to help you if you need the help too. And I'm sure that it would help me too. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.